This is the most Spielbergian movie of the year. A year in which an actual Spielberg movie came out. Hey everybody, welcome to Mainly Movies. Today I'm going to be talking about the 2026 sci-fi survival thriller, The End of Oak Street. If you're new here, please consider subscribing for a variety of movie-related content, like reviews, rank lists, and recommendations. All my reviews include a breakdown of the pros and cons, my rating, and even some tailored film recommendations. So be sure to watch through to the end of this video for all that extra content. The End of Oak Street stars Anne Hathaway, Ewan McGregor, Maisy, Stella, and Convery, and was directed by David Robert Mitchell. Set in 1982, it tells the survival story of an everyday family after their neighborhood is transported to prehistoric times. Block parties, potato sack races, helmetless kids riding bikes around the streets and cul-de-sacs of a sleepy suburban neighborhood. It's not hard to evoke a sense of nostalgia with imagery like that. Memories of a not-so-distant past, close enough to feel comfortably familiar, but still far away enough to feel a bit unnatural or surreal. The End of Oak Street is a period film, at two distinct levels, but its depiction of early 80s suburban life gives us a relatable base to latch onto, something familiar that makes the eventual double meaning of the film's title all the more impactful. And this movie doesn't just evoke a bygone era of American life, but also a bygone era of American entertainment. It pulls from a number of influences, and has its own stylistic and tonal flair, but it significantly draws upon the Amblin entertainment traditions of the 80s and early 90s. This is a wonderfully Spielbergian mashup, blending sci-fi suburban family drama with adventurous blockbuster thrills. I've been intrigued by this movie for a long time, well before the title was finalized and changed from Flowervale Street. There wasn't very much to go on when I included this in my most anticipated of the year video. Even as late as this February, the plot was still being kept under wraps, though there was plenty of speculation, much of which turned out to be correct. The Cloverfield theorists are certainly going to have a field day with this one, but then again, so are the fans of Amblin-style sci-fi blockbusters. The End of Oak Street offers up a wildly ridiculous-sounding premise, but also delivers a ridiculously wild and entertaining experience. This is the ideal type of what-if movie. Not wish fulfillment, but rather the kind of story that sparks the senses and leaves you imagining yourself in the unlikely scenario. What if it were your neighborhood that was suddenly cut off from humanity? What if the dinosaurs were roaming the streets eating your neighbors? What would you do? How would you survive? Could you survive? This concept feels like what was teased at the end of The Lost World Jurassic Park, if it were filtered through the dimension warping lens of the Cloverfield franchise. There's not all that much in the way of explanation here, and there are plenty of dino-sized plot holes throughout, not to mention some frustrating character decisions and a morally chaotic ending that's a bit too tidily wrapped up, but even despite some glaring script issues, this movie's fantastic premise actually translates to satisfying story execution. One of the many things that have made Spielberg's films so memorable and effective is his distinctively masterful way of blending not only genres, but also tones. Take Jurassic Park, for example. It's got action and adventure, mixed with awe-inspiring wonder. It's got a good deal of comedy, plus some drama to make you care about the characters and understand their motivations. And then, of course, it's got the suspenseful thrills and horror of a group of people trying to survive rampaging dinosaurs. All these genres and tones blend into a cohesive whole, never feeling jarring as they seamlessly transition from one to the next. Director David Robert Mitchell, no doubt also influenced by producer J.J. Abrams, draws upon the Spielbergian school of blockbuster filmmaking here, so it's no surprise that The End of Oak Street also exhibits some solid genre and tonal blending. This film does a great job of establishing the family before throwing them into the prehistoric scenario, ensuring that the family dynamics and soon-to-be important character traits are properly set up for the audience. The movie also does a good job of progressively building to the scenario itself, dropping little clues of what's to come via radio news reports and mysterious vegetation. The most effective build-up comes with the dinosaurs themselves, and the anticipation and suspense-building fleeting glimpses we get. A tail disappearing behind a tree, a reflection in a window, a shadow cast on a fence. And then carnage. Dinosaurs chasing people through the streets, flipping cars over, eating people and ripping them apart, bloody dino footprints leading from dead bodies left in houses or strewn across front yards and driveways. It gets more violent than the family drama sentimentality would lead you to believe. And this is where we see the biggest divergence from this film's slightly more wholesome Amblin influences. The End of Oak Street has got a bit of a dark streak to it. It pulls humor from the situational absurdity of dinosaurs loose in a suburban neighborhood. Some of this is innocuously funny, watching a diplodocus enjoying melted ice cream from an overturned ice cream truck, or other dinosaurs drinking water out of swimming pools, or calmly munching on vegetable gardens. But there's a good deal of ironic, dark humor to the scenario too, with a fun tone being applied to much of the on-the-streets chaos and carnage. It makes for an interesting tonal mix, and more of a film inspired by Spielbergian tendencies rather than just a straight emulation of his style. The End of Oak Street is an unexpectedly effective throwback blockbuster, feeling like the type of movie that would have come out in the 80s or 90s. It's certainly got the fun popcorn silliness, and leans into the corniness of that popcorn at times with its heartfelt family drama moments. It's never overly wholesome or sentimental, and it doesn't take itself too seriously, but it's never irreverent either, earnestly refusing to wink at the audience, even when we can recognize and see so many of its influences showing through. I swear, this movie split dioptered more than I've ever seen a movie split diopter before. It's an incredibly fun film, giving us Anne Hathaway running around a dino-infested neighborhood shotgun in hand. But it's also a relatable story of a family just trying to hold it together, realizing just how much they actually mean to one another. It builds suspense through fleeting glimpses, but doesn't shy away from showing off its dinosaurs in all their fully lit daytime glory. Plus, the fast-paced, tightly constructed story gets in and out in a mere 100 minutes, never becoming overwhelming or relentless due to its speed, but also not sacrificing its time to set up the story and characters at the beginning. I'm pleasantly surprised to be able to say that The End of Oak Street is the best live-action dinosaur movie we've had since Life Found a Way in 1993, and that it's an unexpectedly solid and entertaining summer blockbuster to boot. Alright, let's talk about the pros and cons. Pro number one is the premise. I love a good sci-fi actioner. I also love survival thrillers and what-if stories. And The End of Oak Street manages to combine all of these things into one nostalgically entertaining premise. They initially kept this premise pretty close to the vest. Even in January, when I put together my annual most anticipated video, there were just vague rumors about what this movie might be. Maybe a dinosaur movie, maybe a time-traveling sci-fi story. Turns out it was a little of both, but not in ways that I ever would have expected. The what-if hook of this movie's premise is great. What if your suburban neighborhood was somehow transported to prehistoric times, swapped with a dinosaur-infested plot of land from 150 million years ago? What would you do? How would you survive as dinosaurs start to roam the streets of your totally unprepared neighborhood? And this movie explores that idea with an excellent blend of relatable suburban life drama and fun, exciting sci-fi survival adventure. The second pro ties right into the previous one, and is the tone. This film incorporates quite the blend of genres, so it tracks that the tonal balance was gonna be something as well. The End of Oak Street opts for a largely Amblin vibe, taking a very Spielbergian approach at times, with its sentimental family moments and the well-crafted, suspenseful build-up. It's never too heavy, maintaining a mostly fun tone throughout as it captures 80s suburbia and sticks it right in the middle of prehistoric popcorn blockbuster entertainment. It has that 80s Amblin nostalgia to it, but also has a modern tonal streak running through it too. There's a darkness to some of the situational humor, drawing laughs from the absurdity of the neighborhood carnage. It's more violent than you might expect from such a Spielberg-coded adventure, with a number of on-screen deaths and bodies just strewn about as characters walk the suburban streets. It's certainly a dark detour, but the film maintains an enjoyable tone overall, and is a fun combination of familiar elements, while also still being its own thing. On the con side, the biggest issue has got to be aspects of the script. It may be more apt to consider this a mixed element rather than a pure con, because there are actually a lot of things I really like about the script. It's got a good setup, a nice blend of adventure and family drama, and the pacing is fairly tight. My issues mostly lie with some rushed third act choices and the large number of plot holes strewn throughout the film. To be fair, the plot holes don't really impact things that much when you just view this as the fun sci-fi dino survival thriller that it is. I mean, this was never trying to be a cerebral affair, so some mentions of solar flares and wormholes are enough to explain away the basic premise. But there are other barely explained things that feel like random bits just inserted to move the story along, or inexplicable character decisions whose only purpose is to set up for a dino action scene. As for the third act, I'll keep things vague and spoiler-free here, but it just felt a bit too rushed and tidy. It was like an attempt at a Spielberg-style ending, but felt at odds with what came before, and kind of leaves you questioning certain moral implications. Before I give you my rating and recommendations, I want to remind you that if you're interested in buying The End of Oak Street, or any of the other films I mentioned today, I do have affiliate links for all of them in the description below. I get a small commission from anything you buy using one of my links, so I'd really appreciate it if you'd use them, if you're in the market for any of these movies, or anything else. I'm gonna give The End of Oak Street 4 out of 5 paws. A surprisingly fun sci-fi dinosaur adventure, this evokes a sense of Spielbergian nostalgia, blending sci-fi suburban family drama with adventurous blockbuster thrills and excitement. I would recommend The End of Oak Street to anybody looking for a fun sci-fi adventure. This occasionally takes some darker turns than its front-facing 80s Amblin vibes would have you expect, but it still remains highly entertaining. Family drama and survival thriller combine well here, and anybody in the mood for some good dinosaur carnage should have a good time with this movie's suspenseful setup and extensive dino action sequences. If you're looking for a cerebral sci-fi film, you're probably going to find yourself a bit underwhelmed, but as a throwback-style summer blockbuster, this definitely delivers. If you liked The End of Oak Street, I would recommend Jumanji. This 1995 fantasy adventure tells the story of a magical board game that brings the jungle world of Jumanji to small-town New Hampshire. This fun yet heartfelt adventure features another suburban neighborhood overrun by inexplicable animals, but features plenty of humor thanks to Robin Williams. If you'd prefer another movie that captures that 80s Amblin vibe, you might want to watch Super 8. No dinosaurs here, but this is another movie that mixes sci-fi and suburban life, following a group of kids after they witness a train derailment while making a movie. And if you'd like another movie about a community facing sudden, inexplicable danger, you should check out The Mist. Based on a Stephen King novella, this psychological sci-fi horror drama focuses on a group of people in small-town Maine trying to survive after a mysterious mist rolls into town, bringing along with it deadly Lovecraftian creatures and a sense of panic. Alright, a couple questions for you guys. Number 1, have you seen The End of Oak Street? If so, what'd you think of it? And number 2, what's your favorite movie featuring an unexpected neighborhood invasion? Be sure to leave your answers in the comments below so we can get a discussion going. Alright, so if you got some enjoyment, insight, or information on this review, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit that like button. And if you haven't done so already, please hit subscribe or add it to see more videos like this. Till next time, this has been Alyssa with Mainly Movies, the way life should be.